Entered the chat. He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji in the PNC Bank studio. We got a packed show for you guys today. An up and down Sunday, more celebratory in Boston than, everyone expected to see what the Patriots did to the Dolphins. We knew it would be ugly. We didn't think it would be an L.
No.
We'll get into that. But the breaking news that happened early Sunday morning, Jeremy Swayman inking an 8-year, $66 million contract with the Boston Bruins.
Yes.
He's excited to be staying with the Spoke to be the next 8 years.
Yep.
We'll have sound from Jeremy Swayman. We'll break down that Patriots lost to the Dolphins 15-10 the final. We'll take a look around the NFL. I know, I'm sorry, bring it up.
I know.
We have to talk about it.
We have to talk about it.
It's the job. But wait. How you doing today?
I'm good, but
I was at the start with that.
Honestly, thank God for Sway signing because that Patriots game had my blood pressure so high. What? It didn't move you? Because you expected it. That's why.
Yes.
I know. It's my fault. My expectations are too high.
I don't know what you were I did say 16-6 final.
You did.
15-10, I'm just off.
Bro,
I expected really bad football.
No Tua. I mean, the only offense in the league maybe worse than yours is Miami.
No. Patriots are worse.
Yeah, clearly.
They shouldn't be.
My expectations were that the Dolphins would be worse. Shame on me. I thought at home, everything working in your favor. Wrong.
No Jalen Phillips, too. All right, we'll get into that, but let's start with the big news from Jeremy Swayman. First things first, we see a tweet go out by the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Of Jeremy Swayman pulling up in a parking garage. Then the reports come out, and the Bruins put out a statement themselves. 8 years, $66 million, so it's an 8.25 annual average value.
More than we thought. Fourth
highest, literally identical to the Ilya Sorokin contract. This is huge for the Bruins. You get your guy in the door. And it's huge for Jeremy Swayman sticking with this team.
Mm-hmm.
For Don Sweeney to find a solution with Louis Gross and Jeremy Swayman. Louis Gross is an agent. All the work they did all offseason, it's done. This is a final piece you needed for what is a Stanley Cup contending roster.
Usually I don't pat myself on the back, but I'm going to go ahead and do this because if you remember, GB, one of us on this here program said this would get done before the first game.
Yep.
I've seen this happen so many times in sports where it's so contentious on both sides and a deal's never going to get done and we're miles apart. And then all of a sudden, nothing like the season opener breathing down your neck for you to get a deal done, and they did. This is more than both you and I thought it would be. Yep. So but I will say this. It's a win-win for both sides. Obviously, Sway got what he wanted financially here. But I think for the Bruins, the long term, the 8 years, is a win for the Bruins. And it goes back to what you and I said. Now, I will give you credit here because you really talked me into this. But I still think, looking back on this whole situation, Jeremy Swayman should have bet on himself a bit here and went short-term deal. But the fact that he stuck to his guns, he wanted the 8-year deal, this is beneficial to the Bruins in the long term because we know this goalie market is about to get reset. Mm-hmm. And in 2-3 years, this Jeremy Swayman deal is a bargain. Yeah. And so that's a win for the Bruins. A guy this young with this much hockey in front of him, and we all are projecting here, but we think we haven't seen the best hockey from Jeremy Swayman yet. So that's a win for the Bruins to have him locked up long term.
Don Sweeney, obviously relieved, but very happy to get it done.
Yes.
Jeremy Swayman, very thankful.
He got what he wanted.
A lot of gratitude to also be staying in Boston, and he got paid.
Yeah.
I said $8 million, cut it. 8.25, fine, live with it. Because the way I still look at this roster as it's assembled, the way that dressing room is, and the timing of their window, it's a long-term deal, which is huge. You get a cup in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Maybe even this year.
Yes.
The next
could
few
be this
years.
year.
The
It
next
could be
few
this
years.
year.
I don't care. Worth every cent, worth every penny.
I agree.
And how the goalie market is trending once Igor Shesterkin gets paid.
Bingo.
That's going to break $11 million a year. And you're going to look at Jeremy Swayman. It's going to be a bargain. We've seen him in one playoff run.
Yes.
He was absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
Now we have to see him for an entire regular season and a playoff run.
Yeah.
And a Stanley Cup run. Let's get to the first soundbite we have from Jeremy Swayman. I just love this. This is him being very reflective and grateful, speaking to the media on Sunday.
I mean, I'm happy with everything. And again, I couldn't be more excited to be in this position. So you can dissect it all you want. And, think about it. But again, what's that going to do? We're here right now. I got a plane to catch in an hour, and that's all I care about, man. I couldn't be more happy. And it's funny when you look at the big picture of things, and 10, 15 years ago, I would never believe that this would be a reality in my world. So the kid from Alaska standing right here in front of you is really happy and beyond pleased to be a Bruin for 8 more years.
A kid from Alaska that had to move to Colorado to further his hockey career because the opportunities weren't there in Alaska.
Right.
The long journey he took, a 3-year guy at Maine.
Yep.
And then the Bruins drafted him before he became a Black Bear. There's a gratitude there. I'm very happy for him.
Yes.
And you know how big this is. And during his press conference, I just kept thinking back to when Brad Marchand spoke to the media. And it's like, I'm talking with Jeremy. Mm-hmm. This is stuff we want to get done. Mm-hmm. We want this all closed up by the regular season, but he knew the solution would be on both sides. Mm-hmm. And the Bruins stepped up. They had to meet him. And it is the new era of athletes, which I'm always in favor of them getting paid. Get every cent because you give everything to these leagues and these franchises. Yeah. We saw it with Charlie McAvoy. We've seen it with David Pastrnak. Now with Jeremy Swayman. There is no more of that hometown discount. There is no more of taking a pay cut for the spoke to be, which isn't at fault of these players. I'm not going to say they're selfish.
Sure.
This is Don Sweeney adapting and doing what it takes to bring a Stanley Cup to Boston. And it's a step up by Charlie Jacobs and ownership as well. We're saying we will spend to the cap. We will make what works and make it all happen. And it happened there.
I think that's well said. I also think this too. There's no more distractions with this stuff. You just didn't want this. It already was starting to get there. And we're not even in the regular season yet. But you certainly did not want this cloud of this contract hanging over your current players on the roster in the regular season, asking about their goalie, right? Yep. And so this is over now. It's out of Swayman's mind. It's out of the players' minds in terms of being a distraction and them having to answer for it. Sweeney doesn't have to talk about it. The deal is done, and thank God for that. What I hope, though, of course, on today, reflecting on getting his deal, I understand Jeremy Swayman being so happy and reflecting as he did there in that soundbite, but I need that chip on his shoulder. I need the show you're watching on Amazon. You said he was talking about how people don't believe in him, and he's been checking the boxes. People said, well, he couldn't play in the playoffs or he hasn't yet. Well, I checked that box. You still need to see that chip on the shoulder. Just because you got paid and you got what you wanted contractually does not mean the journey is over, my friend. I mean, you still have to prove it. Yep. Although you're paid like you've proven it, on the ice, there's still so much to do. I believe he will. And
him talking about a plane to catch sounds like he'll be traveling with the team down to Florida.
That's
Season opener's October 8th. As Don Sweeney said it, though, they're still back in Corpus Salo. We'll get the opening night start.
Yep.
And he tallies it up. When Jeremy Swayman and goalie Bob feel that they're ready, that's when Sway will get the start. Obviously, October 10th against the Canadians. That is a home opener. That's one to If not, then maybe Saturday, just over a week, when they host the Kings. It'd be cool to see him in the net with the Habs.
Yep.
What I like that he pointed out, too, was, all right, so you did the holdout. You going to be ready? And right away he said, look, I'm a Maine Black Bear, but I owe a lot to BU because he was out of Ganis. BU, obviously their head coach is Jay Pandolfo, former assistant coach for the Boston Bruins. And he's doing a solid, obviously, for Jim Montgomery, saying opening his doors, opening his facilities, and letting him practice with the team, which had to be unbelievable for those guys.
Can you imagine?
BU's one of the best teams in the country again. For their goaltender, Matthew Caron, to see Jeremy Swayman up close and possible.
Yeah.
But he said, because of them, I owe them a lot. I'm an honorary Terrier, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's what's kept me in shape and sharp. Still needs to get some games under his belt, but that's big that he wasn't off just fishing in Alaska. No one knew where he was, including me. I was like, what is he doing? I don't know.
Right.
He was in Boston.
Working.
Here, ready. Exactly.
Yep.
It was a holdout for him, but that doesn't mean he was holding out from putting the work in on the ice.
That's right.
So he's going to be as ready as possible. Those preseason games are significant, though. 3-4, you want to be able to get
game
ready.
Speed, right?
Exactly. And this is a team that will take a month or two to hit their stride because you have to think of, how does Elias Lindholm slot in?
Sure.
Where's Nikita Zadorov fall? When does Mason Larrai start getting his legs back under him? But nonetheless, it sounds like, if they have Jeremy Swayman by mid-October, the latest, that is a huge win for the Bruins.
Not just that, bro, but I'm thinking about game speed and him getting in shape and getting acclimated. Nothing against the BU kids. I'm sure they're great, but it is not the same game speed as the NHL players. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, look, the deal's done. I'm cool with whenever they go to him. That's where you put all your trust in the coaching staff and obviously in Jeremy Swayman himself and the work that goes into it.
Yep.
But my thing is this. I don't want to see him in between the pipes and then he looks like crap and then everyone says, well, maybe we rushed him back. No, don't play that game. I mean, the season's too long for that. Mm-hmm. The deal is done, okay? He's under contract for 8 years, for God's sakes. Take your time, work yourself back into the lineup. So when you are in there, you are truly Jeremy Swayman.
So let's get to his second soundbite we have from his press conference. Just talking about when he reflects on the moment, what it means to him. It's right here.
That's goosebumps right now. It's everything. And again, I couldn't have done this process without the incredible support of the city and the fans and my incredible family. First and foremost, my dad. He's been there through it all, and it's going to be pretty special getting to hug him after this. I could just imagine what it's going to be like. So my amazing agent, obviously, Lewis, and the entire sports professional team, special management team, and my wonderful girlfriend and her entire family. And again, this city is unmatched, and that's why so many players want to play here. And I cannot wait to represent it the right way for 8 more years.
Taking it serious, man. He's not taking that contract for granted.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of talk about what it means to the city, how special the city is, and the privilege he has to represent the Bruins and be their goalie. You don't get $8.25 million a year and not start less than 55 games a season.
Yeah,
less
that's
than
right.
60 games a season.
Well, he's got to earn it.
And then be the guy throughout the playoffs. You saw him do it last year.
He's got to do it.
This is a really big step for him in his career. Mm-hmm. But someone that, as you said, took the motivation of what he heard in arbitration and brought it into next season, especially in the postseason, do the same thing now. Because whatever he heard in arbitration last year, maybe it is of, hey, you weren't the number one guy. You're not a 55, 60 star guy. Whatever he heard from his agent, Louis Gross, throughout these negotiations of, well, they're saying this. If whatever transparency and communication they had, I'm not sure, take that and motivate him. But he knows the weight it carries to be a Boston Bruins goalie, a player for the Bruins, and a guy that this original 6 franchise is investing this long-term investment in 8 years in.
Well, think about the steps, right? I mean, he's, we'll use this word, flashed long enough to show this franchise that they can make this kind of investment in him. Yep. I don't like using the word flash because that just suggests, a couple games, a handful of games, he was great. It was better than that. But he has had to share time, right, with Ullmark. So now, okay, you commit to Sway, you give him his money. In theory, this kid should be entering his prime, George. I mean, at 25 years old here, you should be getting 8 great years from Jeremy Swayman. This is not a back-end guy like Bobrovsky or something.
Yeah.
Like, this kid is in his prime here. So you think entering it. We'll see. But I love the deal. As I said to start the show, I think it's a win-win for both. I think Swayman getting his money, obviously, and he wants to be here. You hear comments like that. He gets it. He knows what it means to be a Bruin. But the Bruins, I mean, again, if this kid is entering his prime, you get 8 years of this. And when we look back, right now it's a lot of money, but when we look back 2-3 years, all these contracts always, at the moment you sign them, you say, oh my gosh, they got what?
Yep.
And then you look 2-3 years down the line and you're like, man, that deal, that's a bargain. Look at this guy who's not even as good as Jeremy Swayman making Swayman money. That's what's going to happen. So 8 years of this kid entering his prime. And to George's point, the window's now. You probably got this season, obviously, and maybe 2 more for a cup in terms of how the team is currently constructed. Yep. I believe he gets one, George.
And that's big with they get this deal done now. They'll have to manage the cap. They'll have to make some moves to create more space in case someone gets injured, to acquire someone at the deadline. But next year, when the cap room for the Bruins is at $25 million as it stands, probably change after this contract's gone through. I don't know the exact number.
Right.
With Trent Frederick and Brad Marchand up to be free agents, those are contracts coming down the line. You get this done now, at this number especially, that creates room then, year after that. This is a team, and real quick, Jeremy Swayman said it too. It's like Bruin for life. Like he said that 8 years, he's envisioning this of the next 8 years till he's 33 and past that, of course. So he's looking small picture, big picture. It was asked multiple times about, Cam Neely's comment of the 64 million reasons, and he just kept saying, you know what, I'm not going to talk about that. He just took it professionally and said, I'm here now, I'm signed, this is what I'm concentrating on, I'm all about moving forward. For a guy that kept saying, arbitration, what I heard hurt, it was really tough on me. Now he's like, look, I'm paid, I'm moving forward. Business was carried out on their part, business was carried out on my part, and he's ready to focus down the line. I think that's what's huge too.
I also respected that he shouted out his girlfriend and her family because, listen, I mean, she just hit the lottery. That wedding is going to be amazing. All of a sudden, that wedding budget, George, just opened up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm in his girlfriend's family, I'm doing backflips, partying right now. I'm popping champagne I can't even afford. Put it on Sway's tab, baby. We party.
It's like, what do you think about a wedding in the French Riviera in Tuscany? This is what I'd like to say, too, though. And this is why I was big on this, and I'm happy it got done before the season.
Yeah.
It's going to take a month or two to see this team get up to form.
Sure.
Especially their front line of what it could be a projection of Elias Lindholm, Pavel Zacha, and David Pastrnak.
Yep.
The investments they've made throughout the offseason, when you bring in a guy like Max Jones, just to be a third or fourth liner, but a wing and a depth piece there.
Yep.
Getting better down the middle. Right now, what you have with Pavel Zacha, Elias Lindholm, and David Pastrnak, that is a line that can get you over 210 points this season.
Mm-hmm.
That is a line that will all be out there on the power play. There are two guys on that line could be out there on every special teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
The chemistry will click faster than I think, but that is so special with the speed and playmaking. And Elias Lindholm is a playmaking they needed opposite of David Pastrnak on the ice to give him space to create.
Mm-hmm.
You have Brad Marchand, you have Charlie Coyle, you have Trent Frederick, Matty Patra arising. Nikita Zadorov at 6'6", 250 next to Charlie McAvoy, who was built like a tree stump in the best way possible.
Yep.
With Mason Larrae and Hampus Lindholm and Brandon Carlo, how big that blue line is in front of Jeremy Swayman, who can be the guy. This roster, on paper, is a legitimate Stanley Cup winning contending roster. I'm saying that now, and I felt it when they got Lindholm.
Same.
Everything the Bruins need to do. They were good in the playoffs.
Yes.
When that final game finished between them and the Panthers, I'm staring at the TV screen, watching
I was
my
there.
buddies.
Yeah.
And we see it go final and go, the Bruins need to, and I go, score.
Yep.
They did that up front. They got better there. And they still improved their blue line and did not get complacent.
It's the window.
Don Sweeney did everything he can to upgrade this roster and get this team back to a Stanley Cup conversation.
It's the window, man.
It's huge.
This is it. I mean, I can't say this.
And this was a final piece.
Yes.
This was a finishing touch.
Yeah, well, remember, we thought going into the offseason, this was the easiest part. It turned out to be the hardest.
Yep.
But who cares? You got it done. Sway, we're happy to have you for 8 more years.
Hampus Lindholm, 6'4", 216. Brandon Carlos, 6'6", almost 220.
It's a lot of beef.
Mason Larrae, still growing and maturing, 6'4", 210.
It's a lot of beef.
Come on.
And he played great in the playoffs.
He did.
For
he
a
did.
youngster.
He got that taste. He got that, and he's moved forward. Hey, you want to email us what you think of the Jeremy Swayman signing? Email us, thechat@nesson.com, or call in 617-790-0928. Leave a voicemail and join the chat. That's 617-790-0928. We'll play it on the show, or email us, and we'll read it. Leave your name, keep it anonymous, whichever. Either way, we'll play it. All right, that was fun. You ready to get into it now?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Ups
We
and
have
downs.
to talk
You know
about
what?
this.
You know what? Wait, one more on the Bruins. Thank you for getting this done. I was looking forward to hockey season anyway.
Yeah.
But, man, am I going to need my escapes from this Patriots team?
I know, bro. This is the worst. Okay, forget worst offense in the league, because that's easily the Patriots. Is this the worst offense you've ever watched?
No.
No?
Last year.
I don't know,
The year
bro.
before.
This feels
They can
this feels as bad.
They can consistently run the ball. We'll get into this.
Well, they should.
have something. They have an identity.
Okay. All right, that's fair.
They can run the ball.
That's fair.
With Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. And then with Bill O'Brien given nothing. Given nothing.
That was worse.
You hire a Michelin 5-star chef in Bill O'Brien, and you basically gave him a can of expired beans and said, here you go. Given nothing.
Yeah.
They never had any semblance of identity. This team does. AVP.
Yeah, there's something there.
Keeps just dumping the ingredients on the floor. I don't know what he's thinking.
I don't either,
Look,
bro.
15-10 was the final.
Oh.
And Jacoby Brissett only threw for 160 yards. This Patriots team at one point was up 10-3, and then the Dolphins scored 12 unanswered points, including a game-winning drive they pieced together. 15 plays, 80 yards, over 7.5 minutes. Was their longest drive of the day. It was given a second life on that Christian Ellis defensive pass interference. Yep. Christian Ellis, who's a good special teamser, shouldn't be on the field, but because Juwan Bentley's injured.
Yep.
Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers were out. He's going to play these important minutes.
Yep.
And that is what happens when you're dealing with a lot of injuries. Doesn't give it an excuse because you give them a second life. You should still get a stop as they did. And what the Dolphins did after that penalty, ran the ball 7 straight times, including a 16 and 18-yard run. So explosive plays on the ground, and then punched it in with a fullback dive on a score.
Yeah.
With Snoop Huntley at quarterback, who looked awful. And off at times, but still found Tyreek Hill when he needed to. Like, they were scheming him open over the middle. Cannot throw outside the numbers at all, but he could throw it over the middle when it's schemed open. The Patriots should have won this game.
Yes.
Your ceiling is higher. This offensive line didn't look awful today.
They didn't look
sacks.
great.
Only 2 sacks.
Yeah, there's so much pressure, though.
Nick Leverett starting at center because David Andrews is out, credited with all but 2 pressures in this game. He had 8, so that's bad.
Yeah.
They moved Michael Onwenu to right guard, Demontre Jacobs to right tackle, Vidarian Lowe back at left tackle, with Michael Jordan starting at left guard. So who knows what happened with Sidney So. But him and Layden Robinson got benched. This offensive line looked solid. They were averaging over 7.5 yards a rush.
Yeah.
They should have won this game. 12 penalties, 105 yards.
That killed him. And this is where having a high school offense kills you, too, because the Dolphins are one of those teams. That lead you mentioned is just not big enough.
No,
if you put a touchdown on top of that, that game's over because the Dolphins could not generate any offense either. But when you can't score offensively, teams, even bad teams, hang around and hang around and hang around. And then you're a play or a penalty or a missed call or an almost touchdown, which we saw at the end with Polk, away from winning or losing. The margin for error is so thin at that point when you can't manufacture any points. Again, this defense. I've been saying it all year, and we all feel the same way. The Patriots' defense is good enough to win games in this league. I agree with George that something is there with the run game. I think you need to commit to it a little bit more, in my personal opinion. But either way, if you can't score points, bad teams are going to hang in there, and you're going to lose these games too, because let's just have an honest conversation here. You look at this Patriots schedule. I mean, this game against the Dolphins.
Let me do it.
At home.
Yep.
Without Tua. This is about as good as you're going to get the rest of the way. George is going to tell you schedule in a minute, but this is as good as you're going to get the rest of the year. And they couldn't get it done. At home. It's just maddening. And we have a close friend who was at this game, and he sent us a video from this game in the stands, just what people were saying. Our boy wasn't saying anything in the video. It was a video of him, but he sent us a video so we could hear the fans. And I mean the language. But everything they were saying was true about this team. They were saying there's high school offenses better than this pro team. I mean, it is embarrassing to watch. And I've been banging the Drake May drum. But my God, I disagree with George a bit in that the offensive line did look better than they have looked, but it still doesn't look like a grown-up offensive line. And as much as I want to see Drake May, I mean, what the hell for? Because all that's going to happen is the same thing that's happening to Jacoby Brissett. Drake May's going to get in, and he's going to get absolutely blasted. So what difference does it make? This offense is putrid. Putrid.
Look, when it came down to that last one, you brought up the Jalen Polk, his toe or his heel falling out of bounds. Ruling on that call, if you're going backwards, you need to get your entire foot in. If you're going forward, it's a toe drag, which is insane to me.
It's crazy.
If you get your toe in, or if he went foot and then fell and it was his knee or something, whatever. But like, this team's not good enough to let one heel determine their outcome. Yes. Like, it can't come down to that, but that's how bad they are.
Right.
They're a heel away from maybe pulling off a win. I don't even know if they get a stop after Jalen Polk gets that touchdown called off. Like, at that point, this is a team with the play calling doesn't make sense to me. To get to your offensive line comment, though, quick, and your semblance, 1st and 10 on the Miami 12, clean pocket, Jacoby Brissett. They rushed for it, incomplete. 2nd and 10, clean pocket, they rushed for it. That was a Jalen Polk incompletion in the end zone. 3rd and 10, they blitzed it. Emmanuel Ogbah off the unchecked off the edge. Jacoby Brissett threw it away, which Jacoby would have held on to that too long. As you see in the past, got that ball out quick. 4th and 10, this is where it gets to it. False start on Hunter Henry. You're not good enough to sell yourself 5 yards back. Then it was incomplete in the end zone. They get the ball back. No timeouts at that point. Throw it inbounds to Hunter Henry and the clock drains. I'm not going to, like, Hunter Henry is running the route that they called. Jacoby Brissett shouldn't have thrown it, but he had to. You have to get the ball out.
Yeah.
At that point, it's catch it, keep your momentum going out, but he leapt up and stopped it. Look.
Everyone should be running the sideline.
Again, and he was. That was an outbreaking route. But again, this team is so bad. I'm not going to pin on Hunter Henry just making the catch.
No.
But when he has an illegal formation and a false start, the mental mistakes, the lack of execution we've seen week to week, you are what you allow.
Absolutely.
And this coaching staff is allowing these mistakes and all these penalties.
That's well said.
And think about the last 3 weeks, Trev. Jets, 3 points. 49ers, 13 points.
That's right.
Against the Dolphins, 10 points.
Yeah.
And this Dolphins defense was ran all over the last few times we've seen them on the field.
Yep.
You only gave Rhamondre 12 carries.
That's what I'm saying.
He's averaging over 7.5 yards a carry. If you take away his long 33-yard run, he's still 4.7 yards a rush.
Absolutely.
Right? So take away his biggest run. Why? And he was benched the first drive. After that point, why is he not getting 25 touches?
I agree.
In a winnable game, dance with who brought you here and keep giving him the ball. Him and Antonio Gibson were great this afternoon.
Yes.
Alex Van Pelt lost this game by getting away from the run.
I agree.
After his touchdown run, 13 of their next 17 plays were passes. What are you doing? They get the ball twice before the half. Run, pass, punt.
Yeah.
Next possession, they get the ball back. Pass, punt.
What
are you doing?
I think Alex Van Pelt was too cute and trying to be smartest guy in the room when you don't have the personnel to do that. I understand why you want to pass the ball. It's because the Dolphins are loading the box and saying, we dare you to beat us throwing the football.
Yep.
Every team's going to do that. I mean, every team has been doing that. But the difference here is a lot of these teams that the Patriots have faced have done a good job neutralizing the run. And then, oh, by the way, Rhamondre has a fumbling issue, right? And then you look up, you're down 2 scores, you have to throw the ball. So that almost dictates what you can do offensively. That was not the case in the Dolphins game. Alex Van Pelt, to George's point, should have committed to the run. You brought up the 12 carries from Rhamondre. 12 carries, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Cool. I also look at Antonio Gibson, who was effective. He only had 6 carries for 52 yards. I need the uptick in both of those guys to run the football. As a team, you ran for 151 yards and a touchdown. You could double all of that. I mean, I would have gave Rhamondre 25 carries. Gibson, instead of 6, would have got 15.
Exactly.
You win this game. And by the way, teams have had success running against the Dolphins defense. You were having success running against the Dolphins defense, and you got away from it because you were worried about them loading up the box. Everybody's going to load up the box. You still run the ball. And by the way, best thing you can do for a bad offensive line, George, we talk about this all the time, is run the damn ball.
Yep.
Bad offensive lines are not good in pass protection. As George told you, this offensive line was pretty damn good for once in pass pro in this game, but they were damn good in run blocking. And you still, Alex Van Pelt, did not commit to the run.
And this is a team, too, that didn't have any giveaways or any turnovers. So they won that battle because they even recovered a fumble and, of course,
and a pick.
Had that interception, which was great by Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah. He's a stud, dude.
You won the turnover battle. You were bad on third down, though. You lost the time of possession.
Yep.
You were running all over them. You said it, and I agree. Between Rhamondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson, you should have 40 carries on the ground. And you were just pushing them around up front. Instead, you had 34 pass attempts by Jacoby Brissett. And again, this is the roster shortcomings. One of the best schemed plays of the afternoon. Play action rollout to the right by Jacoby Brissett. Just overthrows Pop Douglas in the end zone on a deep pass.
Yep.
That was a good pass, a little off the mark, should have let him. But Pop Douglas shouldn't be that guy down the field. He's not that receiver. He is a slot, short to intermediate routes.
Yeah.
That should have been a KJ Osborne. He was out today. Maybe a Kendrick Bourne. They're working him
Kendrick
back in.
Bourne's back. 1 catch for 6 yards. 1 target.
I don't know what his snap count was. I don't know what his usage was. Meanwhile, they have guys like Marte Mappa who played every single snap on defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a Kendrick Bourne. That's a Keyshawn Boutte because you benched Tyquan Thornton. You're done with Tyquan Thornton, which I love.
Yeah.
Give that to Keyshawn Boutte. Give it to a down the field receiver, wherever you have on this roster. That's where the shortcoming comes through. All right, let's give out the game balls.
Oh, God.
Offensive player. Who's getting your game ball for the Pats?
Game ball, offensive player. I mean, I guess I'll give it to Rhamondre, but I mean, just giving out a game ball at all. When you hand it to him, just just puncture it, because that's what the
Nope.
offense is. It's punctured.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I thought you were
puncture
saying
the
punch
ball.
a ball out
No,
because he fumbled.
puncture.
He was-
Here's a game ball. There you go. That's our offense. Just letting out air. I mean, it's a mess. I'll give it to Rhamondre because he didn't fumble the damn ball.
Put two hands on it.
Absolutely. And those guys were, speaking of punching, I mean, those dudes were punching the ball. He held on to it. No fault of his. He had a long touchdown. I love the kid. He should have had double the carries. It's no fault of his, but I'll give him the game ball.
You know what puts air in the ball, Trav?
Who?
Running it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you give him the ball and you keep getting these positive yards and running the ball, which an offensive lineman would rather do 10
They'd
times
rather.
out of
Yes.
10 instead of dropping back
Yes.
in their pass pro and getting punched in the face time
Right.
and time again.
Right.
That would help the offense. That would help Jacoby. That would help this locker room getting
Yes.
a win like this.
You would have won a game.
Instead, you have the defense looking going, we gave up 15 points. We were gassed at the end of the game because we were on the field the entire time.
Huh.
I give the game ball to Rhamondre
Yeah.
Stevenson too. I said it. Him and Antonio Gibson, between the two of them, combined for 7.8 yards per carry.
It should be a thunder and lightning with those two, but they're not used properly.
It was like a 60-40 split pass to run at half at that point. And again, why are you going 60-40?
Right.
That
Right.
should be 55-45.
I agree.
Should be 50-50 at that point. I
Yep.
don't care. You should not be passing the ball that much.
Yep.
What about the defense? Who gets a game ball?
I'm
for
going
you?
Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude, look, we saw it last season, but it was a small sample size because he got hurt. But we saw it enough to where every conversation we had this offseason, and even hearing from you all, it seemed like all of us had already anointed the kid. And the question was just, can he stay healthy? No one was questioning if he could play or not. No one. We all came, I'm speaking for all of us, we all came into this season thinking he was going to be a stud. Can he stay healthy? So far, check on both. We were right with what we saw in the small sample size last season that the kid can play, and he is a stud. Now he's proven that right. And also now he's proving so far, knock on wood, that it stays this way, that he can stay healthy. This dude is an absolute monster, and he's going to be here for years to come, and he's going to be an absolute beast for the Patriots.
The interception he had, he was on Odell Beckham, but he read the quarterback perfect. He didn't even look at OBJ.
No.
That shows he's watching the film, he's
Yep.
preparing. Whatever DeMarcus Covington or Mike Pellegrino, the cornerback
Sure.
coach, is coaching him up on, he's listening, he's retaining, he's applying. Because watching that replay, I mean, he just jumped out, and his athleticism and his hands, his ball skill is so good. Just snagged that out of the air and knew what he had to do right at the snap. Watching Tyler Huntley the whole time jumped on that. To me, the most impressive play, that was the most impressive play. A very important play he had. 3rd and 13, Jalen Waddle catches the ball at the sticks.
Yep.
And Christian Gonzalez lowers his shoulder into him. They don't get the first down. They hold the Dolphins to a field goal, which is huge with the game. That was a 10-7 game with just 7.5 minutes left in it.
Yep.
Because that determines so much. Or 10-6, excuse me. Whatever it was. At that point, I don't care. It was just so huge
Yeah.
on what those possessions are, and that shows the significance of it. But him making that big play of the sticks was big.
Brother, we bang on Bill Belichick, the GOAT around here, for the lack of receivers and the lack of offensive creativity, and he left the cupboards bare and all that. One thing you have got to give Bill in his entire existence is that dude can pick some corners, can he? Because he got another one. Christian Gonzalez is another one on a long line and a long list of great corners here in New England, because this kid has greatness written all over him.
Team MVP? Do you
Team
have one?
MVP. Yeah, I mean, look, I've been talking about it. I think the special teams of the Patriots have been outstanding this season. And I know Sly missed a kick today, but he's the last guy I'm going to criticize for anything. I mean, my God, he's the offense at this point. I thought Sly, even though it wasn't his best game, is solid again. All the coverages, block punts. I mean, they do everything. The special teams, I can say pretty confidently, I think the special teams has been the best, or at least the most consistent and the best unit for the Patriots this season. Then obviously the defense, and then let's not even talk about the offense anymore. So I'll go MVP special teams yet again for this team, consistently.
Even after that block punt, Joey Sly missed a field goal from 33.
Yeah. Well, it didn't matter in the end. They'd have lost any damn
There were
ways.
2 holding penalties. That forced a 1st and 19.
Yeah.
So with the ball on Miami's 23 and whatever happens after that point, ends up, or it would have been a 23-yard field goal, ended up being 33. And that
Sure.
could be the difference of it going in.
Sure.
And who knows what the difference does with that field positioning. And again,
Yeah.
it is this team shooting themselves in the foot
Yes.
with bad penalties, 12 of them.
Yep.
That is mental mistakes. What Hunter Henry did late in the game.
Yep.
From a captain.
Yep.
From a guy that's a vet. He doesn't make those mistakes.
Facts.
And he knew it. He was mad at himself, and he knew it right away. That shouldn't happen. Again, it's what you allow. You're going to be surprised by this. My
Who's
team
your
MVP,
MVP?
I'll give him comeback player of the year for me, Vidarian Lowe.
Okay.
0 pressures allowed in
All right.
41 pass drops.
All right.
In 41 pass blocking
Yeah.
snaps. With how bad the offensive line has been. And look, this was a Dolphins D-line without their best player in Jalen Phillips. Zach Zeeler's the next best pass rusher, maybe Calais Campbell. They don't have a lot. We'll see what happens against Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. next week.
Oh, my God.
But for this week, they have a group of 5 up front. They have a group of 5 up front that ran the ball and got it done. DeMontre Jacobs going from left tackle to right tackle held it down. I guess give credit where credit's due. Scott Peters and Alex Van Pelt decided to switch things up on the offensive line, and it worked.
George, the Texans are going to absolutely
Kill 'em.
destroy this
They're
team.
going to kill them.
They're going to destroy this
They're going to
team.
kill them.
Oh, my God. Defensively, they had pass rushers. Offensively, with Stroud and
So
all
many
those
weapons.
Oh, this is bad. I mean, honest to God. Did you ever bring up the schedule? I don't think we ever talked it. I know you brought it up.
No,
this is terrible. Tell
Because
me the
it's-
winnable games, please, because it ain't next week.
It's not home against the Texans. The Texans will beat you.
Where are the wins?
It's not going to be London against the Jaguars because the Jaguars just put up 37 points on the Colts. The Colts are a bad defense.
Yeah.
But like, what? Okay, when you keep giving them chances, if you score 17 points against the Patriots, you're fine.
Right.
3-13-10. That's what they've scored. 3-13-10.
You only need 17
Get to
points.
17. Get to 17. They're not going to beat the Jaguars.
Oh, my God.
And this is going to be a stretch that saves Doug Peterson until the bye week. Beat the Colts, beat the Patriots against the Bears. Who knows
Right.
what
Got
happens
a
there?
couple layups.
Right. Okay. Home against the Jets? October
No.
27th?
I mean, I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I would bet on the Jets in that.
I don't know.
But look, let's acknowledge this. Things can go left pretty quickly
Hold on.
there for the Jets.
Hold on.
Things can go left.
No. They just lost
Yes.
to Huntley. To Snoop Huntley. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do, Trav?
Well, this is
No.
Here's my
Hold on.
point.
Who's that quarterback for the Dolphins?
I know.
Who's a quarterback? Can you say him?
Huntley.
Okay, Tyron Huntley.
Here's my point.
Okay, cool.
All I'm saying is, from the Jets' standpoint, think about this. You lose to your old quarterback, okay, and Darnold. Rodgers is cussing people out on the sideline. Him and Saleh, clearly there's something going on there, friction. Things could go left. So, hey, that could be a rock bottom for the Jets. That could be a situation where, we lose to the Patriots. Now Rodgers is he's going nuts. Saleh gets fired. I'm not saying they're going to win. All I'm saying is I could see it. It's possible.
The Jets defense held Sam Darnold to 14 for 31, 179 yards and an interception.
Brissett's doing nothing
Exactly.
against
His
that.
worst game of the season.
Oh, God.
All right, cool. Not beating them. At Tennessee,
I mean, I don't know.
maybe.
They suck.
Maybe. That's a Drake May debut.
That's a winnable. That's a Drake May day. No, on the road?
Yeah. You start the quarterback on the road, less pressure. Yes, front office guys will always tell you that. Start him on the road. At the Bears, that's a really good Bears defense. Caleb's figuring things out.
Bears
You're
are
not
coming
beating them.
along. You're not beating them.
Home against the Rams, Sean McVay's going to outcoach
Yeah,
Alex
you're
Van
not
Pelt.
beating them.
Okay, cool. At Miami, late November, Tua could be back.
Tua should
Ooh.
be back.
Or the Dolphins and Huntley are just more composed. At Miami, late November, that spells trouble from a team up north, especially how cold's getting New England. They're going to lose.
What are we at? 2 wins right now.
I didn't give them a win yet.
You said Tennessee's winnable.
Okay, fine. A win and a half. Home against the Colts right before the bye, week 13. All hope is lost. Locker room, everyone hates everyone. And
Yeah, you're done
Joe
by
Flacco is put up 34 points.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're going into the bye with 1 win, maybe 2.
Oh, God.
Come out of it at Arizona. Warm weather game.
No, you're losing
Okay.
that.
After that, at Buffalo, December 22nd.
You're losing
Ooh.
that. I mean, unless
In Buffalo,
and
December
this is not
22nd.
the same Buffalo that can rest starters. You know what I mean? At the
Yeah,
end of the year,
they need to play.
They're going to be playing.
The only reason I gave them week 18 at versus Buffalo at home is if they're resting. They're not. Okay.
They're not resting.
Chargers with a team that runs the heck out of the ball.
Yeah,
Jim
they're-
Harbaugh.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay, cool. Home versus Buffalo, January 5th.
They're not going to rest players.
And Buffalo's going to be fighting to get into
Right.
the playoffs. This
So we're
team-
talking 2 wins here.
Yeah.
A 2-win season. And by the way, I was so happy for Gerard Mayo I'm sorry. If you win 2 games, I mean, bro, there's no guarantee you're back. I know everyone you talk to is a genius. They're like, oh, there's no way they're letting him go. They're going to give him time. Yeah, you would think that. You win 2 games in this league, brother. I don't give a damn who you are. You could be out of here.
Think of Vance Joseph with the Broncos.
Right.
Nathaniel Hackett with the Broncos.
It's happened.
Who was the guy with the Texans? He did the 1 year and got fired.
Oh, I remember.
Yep.
I don't remember his name.
I'm blanking on his name.
Not Kubiak.
No.
Yeah, you can't
yes.
in this league. You can't win 1 or 2 games and keep your job. It just can't happen.
Alex Van Pelt's going to be the fall guy after year 1. I'll say that now.
I'm from what I've seen.
Yeah, I
I'm
would have
fine
an issue with it. But then Elliot Wolf in that front office has to actually go out and get you guys.
Sure.
All right, we talked a lot about bad football. Let's talk good football.
Thank God.
What were your takeaways from week 5?
I got a bunch of them. You want me to rattle them off, or you want to go one by one?
Go with your first.
Aaron Rodgers is old.
Yes.
I mean,
he literally is 40, but yes,
he looks old. There were several times in that London game where, what are you doing, Rodgers? And then he's yelling at everyone else like it's their fault. Bruh, come on. Now, now that touchdown throw he had was vintage Rodgers that got him in that game. But if for a while that could have been a blowout. And Rodgers, especially the pick 6, where were you throwing to? He looks old and grumpy. And it's just not working. I'm telling you, I told you this 2 weeks ago. I think Saleh and him, there's some dysfunction there, and they're doing a good job kind of keeping it. Nope. But that New York media is going to sniff that out. This is an implosion waiting to happen. That's why I said the Patriots game could be the one. Well, if the Patriots beat them in a few weeks, that could be where it all goes to you-know-what in New York.
He had 2 interceptions before the half, and he had another one later in the game, which basically decided
that
the game
was the end of the game, yes.
The pick 6 to Van Ginkel, that's him making a pre-snap read and him doing one step and going. Perfect call, perfect execution by Brian Flores and Andrew Van Ginkel.
Yep.
That second one, he sailed it over Lazard. That's when he looks old. Then he throws a touchdown to Lazard, and you're like, vintage Rodgers.
That looked vintage.
But it's not consistent, and that's when he looks old to something that was as good as him. I agree with you. They also only ran for 36 yards. I'm just going to go to, after we watched what we did between Huntley and Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson.
Oh, man.
Combined for 79 points.
What a game.
The Ravens with an overtime win, 41-38. Joe Burrow, 392 yards, 5 touchdowns.
What a game.
Lamar Jackson, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
At one point, you saw 3 consecutive drives for both teams end with a touchdown.
Yes.
So congrats to the people in Cincinnati.
Great game.
Congrats to the people in Baltimore. You watched awesome football for an afternoon.
Yes.
If you're Cincinnati, your heart is broken. I just want people to understand, while what is going down is in New England, there's hope. There's hope in this game. And it resides in Cincinnati, resides in Baltimore, in Houston, in Kansas City, in New Orleans, in San Francisco. There's hope. There's hope for the game of football. Look past what they're doing in New England.
Here's one for me. Caleb Williams is starting to come around, man. I told you this kid was going to be the truth, and I didn't look smart for the first month of the season, but now he's starting to come around. 20 of 29, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks against a bad Carolina team, but who gives a damn? I mean, this kid needed this game more than anything. His confidence is starting to grow. The last few weeks, he's been coming along. Their offense is starting to look good. DeAndre Swift ran the ball. DJ Moore finally over 100 yards. I think the Bears, I said before the season that Caleb would be Rookie of the Year. We'll see the way Jaden Daniels is playing. But I also felt like the Bears would be a wild card team. I'm back on that horse, my friend. Put me on that bandwagon. I believe in the Bears. Here they come.
I think Jaden Daniels threw for like 275, ran for like 80-plus.
He's no joke, bro.
And you know what he's doing?
Winning.
No. You said it. We were watching in the war room.
What?
Getting out of bounds.
Yeah, he's not taking hits. Yep.
What I say to you, you love Anthony Richardson. You were high on him. You don't love him. I know. I'm not saying it like that.
I know.
Like I like AR5, and I was like, hey, man.
He gets hit.
And Jaden knows his frame, and he's taking coaching, and he understands what's winning football, and that's getting out
Even
of bounds.
Caleb's getting hit, but Jaden Daniels is not taking the punishment.
Caleb's doing the most.
Yes.
Jaden is doing exactly what he needs to, and then some.
Yes.
But he's doing exactly what he needs to, and that's what's making him so successful. Out of all the rookie quarterbacks, the most successful.
He put up those numbers you mentioned, Jaden Daniels I'm talking about, against a Browns defense.
Browns defense.
That's a real defense in this league.
Exactly. as bad as that offense is, 238, 1 touchdown. He was sacked 3 times, but then he ran for 11, 82 yards.
George, they could win that division. The Commanders could win the NFC East.
They're 4-1.
Eagles underachieving. Cowboys not as good as they've been.
And you're
Giants
beat the
are a
Cowboys
mess
because they can't stop the run.
That's right.
So them at 4-1, the Giants are in a rebuild. They don't want to win anyway. They want a top pick.
Facts.
The Eagles stink.
Yep.
And the Cowboys, they're not a good team either.
Right.
So totally the Commanders will win that division. I'd say now they're going to be if they're plus money, I'm betting on that right as we end the show.
To win the division?
Yeah, I'll take them a future on that.
Yeah, we should look at that.
I know one of our JJ, one of our producers, one of the guys that leads these podcasts, he got him like 7-1 preseason. I asked him.
Wow.
I think he got it actually after the win over the Giants.
Okay.
7-1 is still a great price on them.
That's
7-1?
crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
7-1.
Well, that's because all the hype with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Always.
And the Eagles are being sussed out.
Yeah.
Everyone sees them for what they are.
Yeah. Well, that's too talented of a team to be as bad as they are. That's
They're going to
Sirianni.
fire that coach.
Yep.
All right, he's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. This was Boston. Has entered the chat from the PNC Bank Studio. New episodes dropping every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime, please like, subscribe, download, rate, and review. Give us some comments.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't care. Hate on me. I don't care.
Thumbs up.
Voicemail, emails. Subscribe on Nesson's YouTube. We'll see you guys same time, same place tomorrow.